it's probably a very unfair comparison to say, look at Salesforce and look at ServiceNow. I think that from an operating model perspective, while there are similarities in terms of both being a provider and having a platform that underlies everything that they do, that's where the comparison should stop. For the most part, when we're talking about the ServiceNow ecosystem, you're talking about a designed experience that leverages the entire platform, where things that you build into the platform kind of propagate through all the different products.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our number one priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show. And this is Thursday, time for Analysts Gone Wild, which is where we have a lot of fun. Sometimes we could be grumpy as well. So we are going to...
we didn't invite the grumpy people today, Sam.
Nobody's grumpy today, okay? We are not going to complain. No complaints about AI, no complaints about buzzwords. All right, so we'll start...
today.
Yeah. So we'll start with intros. Thomas, do you want to go first?
Yeah, of course. Hello again, Thomas Wiebernight, Principal Analyst at Ahead CRM, owner of Ahead CRM. I'm an analyst covering mostly the customer-facing processes and vendors, sales service, marketing, and AI, commerce. Look at my scars, a few years of experience.
Thank you so much for being here, Thomas. Ken, do you want to go next?
Sure thing. Ken Gonzalez here, lead advisor with a Pretty Simple Group, providing coverage for CIO and infrastructure and operations topics, both vendors and end user customers.
Okay, Michael?
Sure. Michael Fawcett. I'm the founder, CEO of Arion Research, and mostly we focus now around the intersection of customer experience and artificial intelligence.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for being here, Michael. And Sam Gupta here with Elevate IQ. Our focus is enterprise software. On that note, if you're in the audience, make sure you guys post your questions, comments, any sort of stories that you have. We would love to cover them as we move along the stories. So I'm going to bring the first story for today. I'll provide a quick brief here. And let me switch off this ticker that's bothering me. Okay, so the first one we have is Gainsight. And here, no surprises, all about AI. And I'm trying to read through this story, and I don't know if I have a lot other than, they are introducing a lot of AI agents, which everybody is, so no surprises there. They are calling this as customer OS platform, which is reasonable. And as we have predicted, I guess, and we have been doing this for last, 20 shows, I guess. And we all have been talking about how many AI agents, agentic, workflows are going to be there, which is what is coming out. So again, for me, no surprises here. I'd love to hear your take.
I mean, I think Sam, you're right. There's not a lot of surprise, but it's a good example of a way to focus, agents in a way that's going to have a big benefit to the company by, really talking about customer onboarding and all the different processes around that. So it's especially use cases focused agentic AI, and it is, as we will see, a very common theme these days.
Yeah, Thomas.
The fun part for them will is in the last sentence, actually, with Salesforce's announcement to restrict access to Slack APIs. So they probably need to tone down their messaging again, something that they apparently didn't know the day before Salesforce said it.
Fair point.
real secret, or to me, the real thing behind this is how the guardians, wouldn't say the owners, but the guardians of data react and will continue to react to third-party vendors trying to use that data too.
So, Thomas, so maybe provide some more context on the story. I believe you're referring to the one where Salesforce says that you cannot read Slack messages, I guess. I vaguely remember.
They restrict the access to the APIs.
And why would they do that? That doesn't make any sense because, my understanding...
For them, it does make a lot of sense because whenever somebody else does something with that data, then some money flows out of their coffers. So for Salesforce, that makes a lot of sense.
No. So what I'm referring to is, and Michael, I don't know whether you were in their developer conference, and one of the things Salesforce is really proud of, and they really like to claim that they are all about platform, they are all about open ecosystem, they are all about, hey, I'm going to open up this technology to pretty much everybody else, and you can build apps on top of that. You can do whatever you want. So now, why restriction is where I'm a little bit lost.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really fit the fact that they're really trying to position Slack as this sort of new enterprise operating system, and you want it to be able to connect across your whole business, and that's the place where work gets done. That's where the agents and the humans collaborate. I mean, all those things I think are great, but you are going to have to be able to connect to all sorts of business data across and all sorts of systems across the whole business to actually be able to do that.
Yeah, very interesting. So here, I guess some more things, and I don't know. I mean, if you guys have any sort of feedback in terms of how the onboarding, and which is where Gainsight was always present, and they are all about customer onboarding. Post-sales process, I guess, is probably the term that they generally use. Customer success is probably another term that they are really proud of. So do you guys see any sort of differences between the customer success AI agents versus the AI agents that Salesforce is trying to position? And my understanding is going to be that Salesforce was never sort of in the customer success game. They always relied on other platforms such as Gainsight, and from the go-to-market perspective, they both go together. A lot of companies, especially media, tech, etc. I mean, they use Gainsight, right, for the customer success platform. Do you guys have any insight on that by any chance?
I mean, you're going to see agents available for hire if you use the digital workforce paradigm across all sorts of different vendors. And can you build this could you do the same thing, build something on Agentforce? Yeah, you could. Yeah. But if you're hiring an agent to do a specific domain kind of limited task, and there's one that's already available that does 90% of it, would you build it or would you buy it? And I think you're going to see that across all of these different offerings. A lot of times you're going to see a mixed group of agents from a bunch of different vendors because you're hiring to meet a certain specific use case.
Yeah. Ken, anything from your side by any chance on this story?
Absolutely. So several things stand out for me. So first off is that, we started off the show by talking about how many vendors are actually, talking about agentic and bringing their agents to the party. In a real sense, I think that each of the companies that are implementing these strategies are really playing to their base and hoping that this is going to provide an opportunity for them to cross-sell and upsell and have, get more customer penetration as they go along. Where I think that there's some potential issues here is related about, first off, is the data processing agreements that customers end up agreeing to when they, like say, work with a Salesforce. So they need to be cognizant of of what the end user's agreements are and how those cascade out to the third-party provider. So that's one of the areas where I could see Salesforce getting a little twitchy about, because when you have multiple vendors in the mix, how can you be sure that the data is being used in the right way and that it's not violating the agreement, number one. And number two, going back to the thing about the APIs, is when you have everybody and their dog deploying these agents and hitting these different APIs, is there a risk for either performance or security with regards to who's accessing it and when, and what kind of overall burden does that place, as opposed to the native use of Slack and other things that customers might do in order to take advantage of that capability in their environment? So while I don't necessarily want to say that Salesforce is not being overly protective, I think that there are some reasonable precautions that one should take, so you don't have hundreds of different types of agents bombarding the APIs for data, and then you end up with an issue because of something that you are not sourcing because of the product that you built.
Yeah, and I mean, Ken, to that point too, I think it's important that Salesforce provided Agent Exchange as a marketplace where you could go hire agents that had been vetted through a process that they did. So, I mean, there's a way to go in there, but then there's also a way around that if you're using other vendors for different things, I guess. So that's going to be an interesting one to watch.
So let me ask you guys this question. So when you look at Salesforce as a platform and all of the apps and marketplaces, they always had that. So, I mean, this concern was always going to be there in terms of the auditability, the performance, the security concerns you are bringing up. Do you guys see AI agents to be, or agentic workflows to be different? Just because these guys are going to be a little bit more intelligent, they are going to have performance workload. When I look at the platform, they had the audit layer there. So overall, from the control perspective, I don't know how much risk is going to be there, but do you guys see the agentic workflow different than the traditional API access for different apps?
I mean, it's if you think about autonomy and taking action, it's up to the company to make sure that they have the right interaction model with humans. Are humans approving? Are they in the loop? Are they just observing? Yeah. Is the agent completely autonomous? I mean, those are decisions that they have to make as they think about the use case and the deployment of the agent to reduce some of that risk, and then also, of course, build in trust with that agent so that you would trust it, with your credit card, so to speak.
Yeah, great points. We have Ron here. Let's say hello to Ron. Hey, Ron, thanks for joining. If you have any sort of comments, stories, please tell us. I'll go to the next story unless you guys have any other comments on this one.
No.
Okay, perfect. So the next story is going to be very similar to the first one. So here, this is the acquisition story. It's Symbl.ai. And again, I think you guys may have a little bit more insight in terms of how different players are structured within sort of the AI ecosystem. Here, they are talking about AI leader in revenue execution platform. Revenue execution is a very interesting term. I don't know if you guys have seen anybody else using that. Is it RevOps, or is it different than RevOps? Is it more of the workflow automation for revenue, or? Sorry, Ken, go ahead.
It's a good question. Because, I think everybody wants to be able to say that they're a leader in their particular space. But, at this point, when you're talking about how things actually kind of spread their tendrils out into the organization, well, exactly what market are you in?
Yeah.
I mean, there's some things in this announcement that I think that jump out as important. The fact that we're going to see more and more specialized agents as more companies use them and use them for very specific use cases. So having proprietary language models and embeddings models that are trained on the specific domain that you're talking about, whatever that might be, whether it's, supply chain or customers or customer conversations or whatever, that's important. And having these specialized models is going to play to those specific use cases as more companies use them. And then last, having a multi-agent studio to be able to, coordinate activities and handoffs between multiple agents that you deploy in a process. That's a useful thing. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like a negative. It seems like a pretty good acquisition.
Thomas, comment? Sorry.
Well, it's basically a tuck-in for Invoca. It gives them a capability that they didn't have, that they think they need. And I think they're right that they need it, at least for marketing purposes, because else everybody is talking about specialized agents. Not in these terms, but everybody's talking about specialized agents these days, simply because one size doesn't fit at all yet, or maybe never, or probably never.
Yeah, probably never.
And you need a way to build them, so the agent studio needs to be, and type of agent studio needs to be there as well. So this is reminding me a lot of the CAP and Deloitte announcements that we talked about the past week, just from a vendor perspective. And as I said, these technologies and capabilities need to be there for a vendor in order to stay relevant. It's from a workload point of view, from a workflow point of view, it doesn't really matter whether it's agent or not agent, because if there's a trigger that initiates an activity, be the outcome a recommendation or an effective action, whatever action is in context. It doesn't really matter whether you build that as a flow or with a sequence of bots. It's, to me, mainly about the change in how the workflows are built.
Yeah, so that's a very interesting comparison. And I don't know if I would compare this with Deloitte, to be completely honest, because number one, this is not a consulting company as far as my understanding goes. And secondly, the way I'm reading this, I would compare this with more of the HubSpot acquisition. I don't know whether you guys remember or not. They acquired it more for the conversational intelligence, and these guys are in the CRM space as well. So I would think that these both are probably going to be more comparable. If I remember correctly, other CRM vendors have done very similar acquisitions as well. I don't know if I remember Pipedrive. I think they had done something similar, but mainly HubSpot is where I would draw the parallel. I don't know. Thomas, you have any follow-up there by any chance?
Oh, they all do, because this is the topic du jour. So you can't not say anything about that.
Yeah. Michael, anything more? Ken, if you're speaking, you are on mute.
I was about to, but the thing that really stands out for me here is that, and I don't have any, I like what Thomas had to say about it. The capabilities are the things actually required, and they see a gap. Oh, okay, great. Then address the gap and, bring somebody else into the fold that's going to address the gaps without having to do net new development. But when I look across all of the things that we've been talking about for the past number of weeks, it really stands out that this places a heavy burden on the organization that's going to buy in and adopt these tools. And with the rate of change and who's bringing new capabilities to market, there's only a sustainable level of change that a customer is going to be able to tolerate before it's like, we have to stand it up. We have to start using it. We have to show some value from acquiring this technology. Now somebody else has come along and provide duplicative capabilities. How do we do this? How can we actually build a good business case to know that this is going to last long enough to be able to help us actually show that we're driving that value, and it doesn't add additional stress on our workforce, because now we need to make a change to how the flow is going to go or the underlying technology that's used to implement it.
Look at it as a defensive action from by Invoca, because for them, they defend their customer base by adding a capability that their customers need anyways. So, and if this capability comes from somewhere else, from a company or a vendor that sort of delivers or can sort of deliver similar capabilities, or their base capabilities, the whatever revenue execution is in their detail, then they are at risk of being ousted. Unless they are the first ones to have the building capability as well, means the other ones are the same risk. So To me, this is all about defensiveness at this time.
I mean, if you think about this from the company perspective, if I'm a company, I'm deploying these agents. Think of it like a digital workforce. So in some way, that paradigm should look a little bit like your human workforce. I'm going to hire an agent to do a specific use case. And as long as that continues to execute and deliver the use case outcomes that I wanted, the goals that I set for it, then fine. But if it doesn't, what would I do if I had a human employee that didn't do the work that they said they were going to do when I hired them? I'd fire them and I'd get a different one. Maybe I'd build it. Maybe whatever. Doesn't matter the method. The point is thinking of it in that, workforce paradigm helps you kind of think about how you deploy these in the use case. They do the job. They don't do the job anymore. Things have evolved. We got some new technology. We put the new thing in. To me, that's sort of the better way to think of it.
Yeah, I think great point. Just one point related to what Ken and Thomas were talking about. In my mind, when I look at these movements, I look at this as more of the industry drivers. As opposed to being super disruptive. Sure, Ken, you are right that they have to justify the business value. But as Thomas pointed out that, you have to have the defensive play as well, because if every vendor is going to have that capability in your market segment, and if you don't have that, then that's probably going to be a problem. And even us, I don't know how you guys operate, but generally, I mean, we are sort of comparing every single vendor and we are looking at, okay, where the market is moving. And that's how we sort of analyze as the analyst. It's not always about, how everybody's different. It's about, okay, you have a CRM category. This is how buyers recognize CRM category. What all pieces do you need for the CRM category? In this case, I think this is going to be, I don't know, maybe AI-enabled CRM. So what are you going to have? And conversational piece is probably going to be one of the most critical, I would say, based on the way things are going. That would be my take. If you don't have anything else, we have one comment here from Ron. So Ron is saying, I agree that Invoca's acquisition of Symbl.ai can help equip brands to navigate the AI driven shift in advertising, commerce, and contact centers. I don't know. Do you guys have any more comments there on that? Yeah, everybody agrees.
Pretty much.
Look at the next one.
Yeah, so that's always going to be interesting because it's coming from Anders. So Anders is saying, I've seen actual dollar benefits in the financials of companies selling AI. What are good examples of companies using AI that have measurable, attributable profit increases in their quarterly financials? So here is how I'm going to start, and you guys are probably not going to like. The audience is probably not going to like Anders, but I'll take a different twist on this one. Okay, if you look at the market direction right now, companies are obviously laying off a lot of people. And I don't know if it is all because of market direction or there is a real productivity increase. There has to be productivity increase. Okay, and that's why they are able to support these things, to be completely honest. So now, if you are going to feel that it does not have any sort of measurable, attributable profit increase, I don't believe so, because there is, and companies are already noticing that, and that's how they are able to do that. Not good for the world, not good for people, at least in the short term. Maybe in the long term, we'll get, everybody's probably going to find a really well-paying job. But at least in the short term, what I'm personally seeing is for companies, there is definitely advantage here. What do you guys think?
I mean, if you think about where we are, right? We're not even a year into this push towards agentic AI. A lot of companies are using it, but a lot of them, if you dig a little, you'll see they're in the pilot phase, proof of concept, getting ready to deploy, working on use cases. I mean, all those things, right? It takes time to get this out there. But the companies that you do see using them in specific use cases see measurable benefit. It may not be revenue, it may not be profit, it may be some other metric, but whatever that metric is, as long as the company's hitting the targets they said with the with the bot and the agent that they deployed, then good for them. It's just going to take a little bit longer to have these great, oh, look, I increased my revenue by 25% because I hired a bunch of SDR bots to ping the LinkedIn audience or something. It's, there'll be things, but it's just taking a little bit of time because we're in the midst of companies really getting these things into production and really starting to measure the benefits.
And if you're looking at case studies, meanwhile, they are coming, even outside of the service arena. So I've just recently gone through some that one company upped its growth trajectory by using or building on an agentic platform. Another one, this is more university study that built a supply chain agentic AI platform, so quote unquote, yeah. And they had all sorts of improvements from carbon footprint to, similar to that, fuel reduction, warehouse efficiency improvements by avoiding overstocking that can get, and understocking as well, that can get very nasty for A companies. Well, meanwhile, the ideas are coming, or the cases are coming. The question is whether an agentic platform is the best tool to do this. And there we are, the selling AI part. So where does the majority of the value generated end up?
Yeah, I mean, I took yesterday. I pulled a survey out of the field that I'd been running around agentic AI use and adoption, and in that, one of the questions I asked was, the impact of agentic AI in each of these different areas, and if you look through it, transformative impact was the highest category that I had, and 25% of those 400 respondents said cost reduction. Productivity, 26%, customer experience, 28%. I mean, innovation, 30%. So they are starting to see this as transformative. And if you dig below that, significant impact is even higher than that. I mean, in the employee satisfaction, for example, 38% believe that agentic AI is having a significant impact on employee experience. So it's coming, and companies are seeing real results, and they're reporting real results.
So, Michael, was that a survey bot or a real survey?
It was a real survey.
So you did not hire a survey bot, I guess.
I did not hire a survey, although I did think about it. And at some point, I suspect that that's what you're going to see. It's simpler to put an agentic focus group in the field than it is to actually write the whole survey and launch it. But,
yeah. I'll have my agent answer your agent's question.
Exactly. Exactly. Then you and I can go fishing.
Yeah.
Or sailing, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said that, because I thought you'd be wanted to sail. So.
Yeah, and Anders, I can tell you from my personal experience, I mean, the same consulting engagement that would have taken at least a month. Now we are able to finish, let's say, in a day. For our business to be completely honest. And now we are wondering, okay, if we are finishing in a day, should we be charging? Because I don't know what you are going to charge for a day, I guess.
Don't tell anybody, Sam. Come on.
So now we are wondering, okay, what the hell are we going to do with these people, right? If AI is going to do everything. So it's a crazy time, I would say. And yes, AI is powerful and it's able to accomplish a lot in my personal experience. All right. Do you guys have any more comments on this or no? Okay.
Nothing to add, no.
Okay. I mean, we can probably save an hour if we had our own bots here. Bots Gone Wild. And we can change the name of the show as well. Bots Gone Wild.
Bots Gone Wild?
I think they already are.
Yeah, well, that's probably true too.
All right. So this is probably the spiciest story of the month that everybody wanted to really talk about. It's very interesting. Salesforce spoke about it, then they went a little silent that, hey, we were not thinking about it, and then they came back and they acquired, right? So we knew that this was going to happen. Obviously this story is very interesting personally for me, because I would think that, Salesforce would probably go after, I don't know, maybe Snowflake, maybe Databricks. But this is a very interesting acquisition, Informatica. Obviously, they have very large customer base. The customer base is sort of aligned with Salesforce in my mind. The way I like to think about this is They want to control the whole integration aspect. MuleSoft, in my mind, is always the service layer integration. Informatica, the way I have always thought about this as more of the data layer integration, even though they are going to claim that they are iPaaS as well. Everybody's claiming they are everything, right? iPaaSs are claiming that they are data layer integration as well. But for the most part, these guys were data integration players such as your MuleSoft, Boomi. They were more of the iPaaS service layer integration. So now this is the complete stack. And, Salesforce always believed in that whole platform play. So in my mind, I think this is huge because they are trying to control everything from the integration and data, but they are trying to position in this story, at least, that, it's going to be AI play. I can see that, but the platform does not necessarily bring data. In this case, this is more of a platform. So what do you guys think?
I mean, think about it this way, right? So they moved from their customer data platform, CDP, to Data Cloud. And that's the foundation. And as we've talked about on this show many times, data is the foundation for any AI initiative you're going to do. And as a part of that, having automation that you can use for data quality, data management, metadata management, all those different pieces. To me, that's the better part of this story. The fact that they get Claire GPT and all the automation tools around that. And I think that's going to play really well. And it's something they weren't talking about and didn't have really a good story around when you start to push on the data cloud. What about data quality, automation and that sort of thing? So this gives them a really good addition to that story, I think.
Yeah, that's basically what sums it up. So what they didn't have in their data cloud was making sure that quality and governance are in place. Yeah. That was a miss. And Snowflake Databricks, why would they? That would mean for them to remove all the foundation that they have already built and basically rip it out and build something else in. So that doesn't really make sense to me. So Informatica is basically a perfect match for what they were missing. And Informatica was kind of struggling, which is evident in waiting a year and gaining 3 billion for Salesforce, or from Salesforce's perspective, because last year they were at 11 billion when they canceled the transaction. Yeah. So this is also a tuck-in, but an aggressive one that really bolsters the position of Salesforce in the market. Will be interesting to see how that pans out versus SAP. We're doing something similar, just do a DIY strategy.
Yeah. So guys, overall, from the data perspective, I guess, to your comment, Michael, when we look at the data cloud, in data cloud, I guess Salesforce was producing only the CRM and sales centric data. It was not producing anything else. It was simply aggregating is probably the right term. Even with this addition, I think it's just still going to be just the aggregator. I don't think Informatica owns any sort of data sets. It's still the platform play. So when I look at, controlling the data, meaning, for example, let's say if you look at the Snowflake, Databricks, they at least had the marketplace where companies were selling, even though I don't think Databricks or Snowflake, they owned any of those marketplaces or data set. But, from the AI play, in my mind, if you look at the total data sort of acquisition, I would think that, for example, the acquisition that Pipedrive had done in acquiring a data company, the real data company, like ZoomInfo. I don't remember the name of the company that they had acquired, but they did the real data acquisition. In my mind, that is far more powerful, from the AI perspective. But I mean, this probably provides them a lot more.
But if you have to look at it different. So, you mentioned Snowflake, Databricks, they can federate that data into Data Cloud already. Yeah. So they already have access to all of that. Yeah. and that's the point, right? The Data Cloud's the focal point, but you don't have to move all that data. Data in motion's at risk. Yeah. So if you can leave it somewhere until you need it and you know where it is, and Data Cloud can be the central point there, and add in Informatica as a way to make sure that data is maintained correctly, it's the right quality, it's, the right metadata, all those those things. That to me, that's a good story.
Yeah. It's pretty unrealistic to assume that there will be only ever one database.
Yeah.
Every other system that they use, let's take SAP again.
Yeah.
SAP will do the hack. Well, hell freezes over before they allow Salesforce to totally ingest their data into their quote unquote data into the data cloud. So there needs to be a way of working across multiple objects or databases while keeping semantics intact. And that's where Informatica comes into picture.
Yep.
Ken, you had a comment?
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see from a roadmap perspective how Salesforce is going to address this. Because when I look at this, I think of it very similar to how ServiceNow actually deals with their acquisitions, where they go to great lengths to see that anything that they acquire becomes part of the actual platform. So the thought that goes into the engineering and how it now just becomes completely accessible to all the components that run. And given Salesforce has its orientation as a, open API, scalable, structured, we put a lot of thought into how we build out the third-party community and let people, engage. I think that looking at how the forward-looking roadmap is going to look is going to say a lot about how the Informatica acquisition actually shapes the future of Salesforce and what that means for the customer base.
There actually is quite some interesting story as well, because Informatica mainly is on-prem. They are in the middle of their own cloud transition as well. Yeah. So this is something that surely helps in that transition that you just mentioned. There's an interesting comment again. Comment, or bloody accents. About overlap with MuleSoft. So MuleSoft to me is an engine that, well, and I'm probably a bit harsh, but they are pretty good in non-real time and well in ETL processes. So and if it's getting to doing real-time data integration, their Informatica has an edge as well. So I can very well see Salesforce having seen, well, if I see it, they have seen it. And they probably will augment their data loading capabilities with Informatica capabilities as well. They should.
Yeah, so that's where I guess my concern was that it's a fairly outdated technology and they have invested in the outdated technology. So I don't know if they are going to innovate, rewrite for cloud. That could be a possibility, and they could have acquired a real cloud capability. And that's why, the reason why Databricks and Snowflake, they were so hard because they were actually replacing all of the Informatica workloads. Traditionally, these workloads were handled by traditional ETLs, Informatica-like players, but, Databricks and Snowflake, they were actually winning these logos. So again, it's a very interesting, I think this is more of the customer logo acquisition. I don't know how much it is about technology. Sorry, Thomas, go. Yeah.
It's not customers. It's not customers. It's not growth. It's not revenue. And look at the cloudification of the of Informatica software. If you buy a cloud service that is already fully there, then you basically need to rewrite it to get it onto your own platform. Here, the rewriting needs to be done too, but you can natively build it into your own platform. And do not invest double by first acquiring it and then integrating. So here, then rewriting it basically.
So Thomas, let me ask you this.
You are just in quotes doing the necessary move that needs to happen anyways, while being able to directly optimize it into your own platform. So this is perfectly sensible to me.
Yeah. Well, and look at the announcements from Informatica World or couple of weeks ago, right? Well, what was the biggest focus? Claire agents. What do? There's a data quality agent. There's a data discovery agent. There's a data ingestion agent, ETL agent, modernization agent, product experience agent, etc. The point is they've gone a long way down the path of automating that back end around the data and data quality, data management. That's where the focus is from my perspective.
Yeah, and that fits very well into the Agentforce story. While it's the beautiful along with the needful, right? The necessary and the fun part. So,
and I mean, could Salesforce have built all these things themselves? Of course, but how long would it have taken, and how many resources would it have taken? So I don't know. This seems like a logical acquisition from that perspective. Are there other things that overlap with MuleSoft? Are there things they're going to have to figure out on that end? Sure. But I think it's more about the data automation than anything.
Yeah.
So, Michael, I think there could have been three possibilities, I guess, right? Number one is write from scratch. Number two is utilize on-prem technology, write it for cloud native, or acquire a cloud native technology and just implement it. And again, I mean, this is more of the platform play. So I don't know how much the homogeneous experience is going to matter in this particular case, because these two are two completely different things, right? When you look at Salesforce is a platform for salespeople, but I don't think they are ever going to use Informatica to write connectors. That's probably going to be for developers. So with ServiceNow when you mentioned that point that, with ServiceNow, the experience is very similar because the experience that you are exposing is primarily for developers. I don't know how much ServiceNow has the end user centric platform. I don't know if that experience is similar as well. But for the most part, it's a platform, and your consumer is more of the developer, technical people. They are sort of enabling these things, right? But for the Salesforce core platform and Informatica and MuleSoft, the audience is going to be slightly different, right? So the experience doesn't need to be same.
Well, I think that from a mechanical perspective, it's probably a very unfair comparison to say, look at Salesforce and look at ServiceNow. I think that from an operating model perspective, while there are similarities in terms of both being a provider and having a platform that underlies everything that they do, that's where the comparison should stop. For the most part, when we're talking about the ServiceNow ecosystem, you're talking about a designed experience that leverages the entire platform, where things that you build into the platform kind of propagate through all the different products that run on the platform, as opposed to a Salesforce where if you want capabilities and you're developing a third-party product, I think the developer ecosystem is much more robust from a Salesforce perspective. And you can either choose to or not to use various capabilities. So how you go to market is really going to affect what you adopt. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I think that the platform requirement is the same, where I don't think Salesforce can afford to have Informatica as a bolt-on. It needs to become part of the fundamental capability set so that it now becomes consumable to all the people that depend upon the platform itself.
Yeah. All right. If you guys don't have any other comments, I'll move to the next story. All right. So this one, again, AI story. I think we have too many AI story today. So here we are talking about Similarweb, and I don't know if I'm familiar with them. So they are launching AI agents. No surprises there. Powered by comprehensive digital data delivering results for marketing and sales team. Again, CRM play. And this is about SEO. And for the most part, I mean, in the SEO world, you have SEMrush, you have Href. I guess those are the main players. So I don't know where Similarweb sort of fits in. But here they are talking about analyze SEO trends. I don't know if SEO is going to survive because AI is changing that as well, right? So it's what are they calling AIO or something along those lines, I guess, right?
Right.
So here again, they are saying purpose built. Everybody's purpose built. I don't know anybody who's not purpose built That could be a marketing, I guess. I mean, probably somebody should write that. We are not purpose-built because everybody else is.
we're built for no purpose. They probably would sell. I don't know.
Like no show, no agenda podcast or Seinfeld.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, this is another agent announcement, and I get it. And certainly for a lot of companies, SEO is going to continue to be something they, work on, struggle with, build content out of, etc. for a while. But you're correct, Sam. I think that's going to erode pretty quickly. I mean, how many times do you search on Google versus Perplexity? I can tell you, it's like 10-1 now. Perplexity is much better because it gives me answers, not ways to find answers. And okay, they're adding AI into Google search, and that's actually starting to be pretty good. But the point is that's becoming the way to find the answer, not the way to look for an answer. And that's different, and that's going to require something different than the way SEO works today.
Yeah.
Simple as. It's yet another announcement. And that would be quite cool. Would have been quite cool if they had said something like that their SEO agent is ready for the new type of SEO that is ready, or that is
optimized for AI.
That is optimized for AI optimized content.
Yep.
or for AI based research. Yeah. So then this would have been an announcement. I don't know. Probably their agents can do that, but they should have said it.
Yeah. Ken, anything from your side, by any chance, on the story?
I actually am not surprised to see this. And so one of the things I'd been actually talking about for quite a long time has been that we've been talking about AI and agentic AI from the high level perspective, right? So very close to the kind of roles that people are already serving through the products that vendors are selling as part of their offers. So those are like the big rocks in the bucket. I think that this is an example of getting down to, okay, we're going to pick a niche that needs to be explored and bring AI technology to it. I think we're going to see a lot more of this. And ultimately, they either become acquisition targets or something that it just gets replaced and they go away. So looking at it from a more granular perspective, I still think there's a lot of opportunity, but it's potentially transitory.
Yeah, and we could have a business model here, I guess. We can write AI agents to determine, hey, great idea, or what the hell are you doing?
My AI agents say that a lot.
So we have one comment, from the audience. Okay, so here Ron is saying, how serious do you see AI agent security threats, such as prompt injection attacks or compromised session tokens, which could allow malicious actors to manipulate or access sensitive data? So I guess my take on this is going to be that, hey, I mean, we are not there in terms of our AI skill set so far. We are still learning the ropes. So I think, once we are advanced in that, then we will see a lot more. But right now, I don't know if we can. I'm probably getting okay in terms of my prompt knowledge, but I don't know if anybody has figured out, how to inject.
The thing is, this is an ongoing battle. It has been since we first had an internet, and it's going to continue to be that way, right? I mean, it's every time we make an advance on one side, then the Black Hat community makes an advancement on that side, and AI's have created a new competition between the good and the bad, and it will continue to do so. I mean, we have to be diligent. You have to make sure you build the right security in as you're deploying these things, but you're going to see attacks. It's more surface area. You're going to see attacks. That's the way it is.
So do you guys see this happening really? Because my understanding is that AI is probably more intelligent, at least, from this perspective, in terms of figuring out the injection attacks, etc. So do guys really see this happening unless AI is sort of trying to attack AI? I don't know if humans can really figure this out.
Well, I mean, I think that's actually the point, is that it is going to be AI, attacking AI and AI defending AI. And I think that's absolutely where it's going.
There's a whole new branch of security, let's call it experts, going on that is focusing on keeping those systems secure. The vendors themselves are, most of them at least, are investing big time in red teams. Yeah. And these red teams are not only wetware, they are AI as well. Yes. Trying to identify attack and mitigate attack surfaces so that AI's delivered behave and stay secure. And then there's, of course, the other part. It's always easier to be malicious than good, because you can avoid. You don't invest in guardrails, right? So being good is an additional investment.
Yeah, but you could also go to jail, I guess. So I don't know.
First, you need to get caught.
Yeah, but you could before. I mean, you didn't need AI for that.
And which AI? How does a court for an AI look like?
Yeah. All right. So we have one more comment, unless you guys had anything else to add on that. So here, Dr. Martin is saying, how significant do you see the growing use of MCP as a driver of agentic AI? Anybody has any comment on that?
I mean, it is growing in use, and it is certainly, like, we have to have standardized ways for agents to interact inside and outside of the business, right? I mean, there has to be a way for agents to humans, agents to data inside, agents to data outside. I don't know. I mean, having standards and having some, standardized way of doing that makes sense. You've got agent to agent protocols for, agent communication, MCP for ways to communicate with data. I think that it is significant, and it is, having an impact.
And whether it stays MCP or not, in the 90s we had CORBA versus DCOM, right?
Yeah.
So there will be a few standards that emerge and that will need to get supported by vendors.
Yeah. And I'm actually very bullish on MCP as an approach. Because, I think they only, and, going back to your reference about, CORBA and DCOM, the thing that we're really dealing with right now is the lack of ability to do some introspection to discover what the capabilities are of the different components that live inside that environment. So I firmly expect that as time moves forward, we're going to see more development on that front, so that we're able to effectively consume all of the different objects that sit in the background, and then be able to use those and have it be more flexible, as opposed to, I know what MCPs I've loaded, and now that's all I can see.
Yeah, could not agree more. Great points, guys. So we can probably do one more story, unless you guys have anything else on this one. Anybody else more excited about SEO? No? No more SEO. Go SEO. Okay. So here, Snowplow. I like the name. Unveils Signals. And they are, I don't know, I mean, do you guys know them? I don't know. Leader in customer data infrastructure today announced. What is customer data infrastructure? Is it CDP? I don't know. Today announced the launch of Snowplow Signals, the real-time customer intelligence system. Is customer intelligence again some sort of CDP or different? I don't know. Based on the way this is structured, it does look like it's more of CDP play.
It's the activation. It's about the activation of the data. Although I always get the shiver if I read something like enable someone to deploy an experience. You can't deploy an experience. You can't. You can engage so that Ken and Thomas have an experience, but if Ken or Tom wake up in different moods, they surely will have different experiences. So you can't deploy an experience, you can deploy an engagement.
Yeah.
He's learned that, vendor.
I think the real-time piece of this is important. The fact that you are going to see more and more need for real-time data for agents to take action, to make their decisions, to evaluate, and, that sort of thing. So that seems I don't know these guys well, but I mean, it does seem like an important piece of it.
And as a piece of advice to them, they need to look at the conversation as the UI, basically. Yes. And I think we will get to some extent away from visual UIs because we will connect. We are connected anywhere and everywhere. And we surely do not always have a screen in front of us. But what we always have is the capability of interacting via audio. And that will be really important in the near future. That may also have a drastic impact on how a website looks like.
Yeah, so unless you guys have any other comments, let's build some more layers on the real-time aspect. So when you're looking at real-time here, and I don't know, I mean, when I look at CDP, 90% of them were very real-time. And depending upon how you define real-time as well, I guess, right? So in the customer experiences space, there are 2 or 3 different real-time experiences. When you compare, for example, platforms like Braze, I believe is one, right? Braze, you have Revo, and they all talk about real time. But I believe Braze is the one that is doing the video real-time interaction when you have the ad running, and then you can sort of provide some sort of input there. You can interact with it, maybe swipe your credit card. I mean, that's what everybody wants, but that might not happen right away. But that is the real-time interaction that I guess they talk about. This one does not seem like that real-time, or does it?
Look at the use cases, they say.
Yeah.
Adaptive UI, co-pilots, chatbots. So they all need some time to build their response as well. So the service that Snowplow delivers must be significantly sub-second. So there we are in a pretty hard real-time scenario already.
Yeah. I mean, if we think about this idea of building dynamic customer journeys, for lack of a better term, you need real-time data to do that. And that real-time data is an ongoing need as you interact with that customer, wherever the touch point might be. So I think it's an important, piece of the puzzle, and you're going to need to be able to ingest that real-time data to make sure that your agents can get the outcomes that you want.
Just visualize the dynamic building of a response to a click. The next page that you see is not static, and you surely don't want to wait 2 or 3 or 5 or even more seconds till it's built up. I tend to be impatient if it takes more than 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds. So, and I'm quite sure that I'm not the most impatient guy around.
You need to try ChatGPT for image generation, especially if you're not on the paid, tier. Then it's probably going to take 3 minutes. Talk about patience there.
Or wait for a Gemini response if you're doing a deep research.
How long is it? Is it like 5 or 10 or?
Half an hour, depending on the complexity of what you asked. So, but then you know that you need to wait.
Right.
Yeah, that's a difference too, right? So if you're doing some own research on, I want a mortgage or whatever, then the response is there, a meaningful response is better there within the second. And I have a gigabit internet connection, so that's better really fast.
All right, guys, we are close to our time now. So Ron, thank you so much for joining. Great comments, loved your comments. Everybody else as well. So let's do a quick round here in terms of closing thoughts. So we started with Thomas. We'll go with Michael this time. Any closing thoughts? Yeah.
I mean, I think we've hit on all the new agent announcements for the day, and this just is going to continue, obviously, as more and more companies get involved in this, and from a vendor side, but also from customers as companies start to actually see value from it. So I'm anxious and interested to see what happens, but it is at a point where we're really just now going to start to see that happen, I think.
Yeah. Could not agree more. Ken?
Main advice I've had is stay close to roles, because the more we do that and you stay close to the work that needs to get done, you can positively impact customer satisfaction or other factors that drive the health of an organization, whether it's the actual customer end user or employee experience. We've got a lot of tools, and stay flexible.
As long as you have roles, not many people are lucky to have them anymore, I guess. Thank you so much, Ken.
I wasn't going to say that.
Sorry, Thomas.
What we have seen here, so I've got two closing thoughts. What we have seen here is lots of function and feature. Please go into outcomes.
Yeah.
Why is this a great message? So why does it help me? How does it help me? This is part one. And as Michael astutely figured, sorry, picking on you right now, not in a bad way. Everybody says agentic. So for the ones who didn't say that yet, they probably should find the next generation term already in order to not run after the pack, but be ahead of the pack for at least a moment.
Digital workforce, I'm telling you, that's it.
Yeah. These guys are already on the next step, and I'm tracking these stories on a daily basis, as well as on a weekly basis, we all together. So that's what makes this show fun if you join for the first time. This was our Analysts Gone Wild, and we meet every Thursday, so I'll see you all next week.
See you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.